This is KWMR 90.5 Point Radio Station, 89.9 FM in Bolinas, 92.3 FM in San Geronimo Valley, streaming live online at kwmr.org and cablecasting on Horizon Cable Channel 47. Coming up next, Let's Talk Call-In Radio.
This is Let's Talk, getting to the root causes of the important issues of the day. This on-the-air community forum believes your voice matters and welcomes all thoughts and views without judgment. Please join today's conversation by calling 415-663-8492.
Yes, someone's taking photographs in the studio. What the heck?
Really?
Good morning.
Oh, is it Stephen? Stephen, you're taking photographs.
This is Let's Talk Call-In Radio, the listener call-in show. We want you to disregard completely anything that we might say from now on for the next hour and call in with your thoughts and opinions to 415-663-8492 or 8317. And my name is Paul Raffel. I'm sitting at the board here.
I'm Charles Schultz, and I'm sitting next to
Shelley Rugg.
Shelley Rugg. Welcome back, Shelley.
Thank
and
you.
I can't remember my name.
Oh, that's Stephen.
Stephen Hurwitz.
Which is very apropos for today's subject, which is aging.
Ah.
Are we for it or against it?
Death, I'm against it.
Yeah.
Should it be abolished immediately? That's what I say.
If only.
Why aging? Just because we all are, and it felt like that after moving for about a week and lifting boxes all day, every day. You feel the effects of aging, and sometimes you need to rest a little more than us young folks over here.
Oh, I'm all for naps. What are you kidding? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. After the point at which you're most alive, you begin to die. So we've all been aging since we were about 19. But, you know, it's. But I don't want to be 19. Do you want to be 19, Shelley?
And know what you know now?
Well, that's the big
I
question,
think
isn't it?
30s and 40s were pretty nice.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, so now, given the chance, let's start off with that question. And callers, please do call 415-663-8492. Which era of your life would you like to go back to if you could, and maybe straighten some things out, or just do things slightly differently?
Oh, boy, that's loaded.
Well, you say 30s or 40s, but, you know, the other thing, we talk about aging. We've had some folks in the community just recently diagnosed with dementia and things like that. And but, you know, as I get older, I enjoy the things that I forget. You know, happy not to remember many things that have happened in my life. So I don't know that it's all a curse. Although, but I think it's interesting about Alzheimer's that sometimes that people can't remember the present or yesterday, but their memory of the past is very clear, which I think is sort of beautiful in a way, in that thing that a younger generation would want to say, what was the world like then? They still have. They don't have
that
what
beautiful?
happened. Well, maybe it's a bit of a stretch.
I think that's a bit beautiful.
Ask me when I get there.
Yeah, really.
Well, I don't know. What do you think about aging, Stephen?
Well, I think the joke is on your generation because
You're not kidding.
we're going to suck all the healthcare dollars left.
Suck all the vitality out of this economy.
Exactly. It's all going to be spent on us in our final moments of life.
I think that's true. I think boomers are sitting on, they say, $30 trillion of wealth in the United States. They've got the loot.
I know I am.
2% of it own it all.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And we do have a caller. Hi,
Hooray.
caller. You're on the air. What's your name, please? And keep it clean, if you would.
My name is Steve.
Aha.
Hello.
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 I was calling in because we're talking about aging, and today is my birthday.
Oh, hooray! Hey!
Congratulations. Happy birthday. How old are you today, if it's not too indelicate a question?
I'm 12.
Is it a good age?
Yes, it's a very nice age.
You enjoy being 12?
Yes, I can still do the split.
Awesome.
But wasn't 6 great? 6 was great.
Yes.
You could stare out the window all day and dreaming of candy. I mean, come on.
And no one expected you to really do any homework?
Actually, I was dreaming of ponies.
Ponies.
Oh.
Ponies. Ah.
So life is pretty good, and are you looking forward to being 13? I mean, what are you looking forward to growing up? Aging? No?
Oh.
Very wise.
So would you like to be 12 forever?
Yes.
Okay.
All
like
right.
Peter Pan?
Oh, yeah, we got those out there.
You might know my Aunt Amanda.
Say
What's
that
that?
again?
You might know my Aunt Amanda. I think she works here.
Oh, well, I see. Yes, we do know
we
Amanda.
do know her.
Yes.
Yay.
Well, thanks for calling in, and happy birthday. Shall we sing to you?
Sure.
1, 2,
No.
3.
Let me just turn this all down.
Birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Oh, we don't know your name. Hang on.
Oh,
What's your name?
Esau.
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 Happy birthday, dear Esau. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, my gosh.
There you go. We had a birthday live on air. Thank you, Esau. That's a lovely...
You guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
All right.
How lovely. There you are.
Oh, other birthdays today?
An aging child.
Progeria. It's a serious issue. Tess Elliott has her birthday today, so anybody who...
Happy birthday.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, no.
So anybody who is a friend or fan of Tess, you could wish her happy birthday today.
Nice.
What is this thing about birthdays? You know?
Yes, exactly.
Well, I mean, to me, it's like, aging, it's like, if, there are larger issues in life or larger meanings, then, aging could be this thing where you acquire wisdom, because through experience. But if those meanings aren't there, if there's really no point to life except for distraction, enjoyment, experience, then aging is just cruel. It's just existence way of telling you that we hate you.
Isn't it inevitable that we through just living through life that we gain more insight into all kinds of things like,
hopefully,
I don't know, don't put your finger in boiling water.
I learned that last week.
It's a given now that
I think that
now that I'm in my
aren't we the age we
mid-60s?
think we are? I mean, there's so many people that, you say we're aging, but there are people who are young, vital. They don't look at aging as something, that's going to, take something away from themselves. They look at it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be retired. They might have more time to spend in the community.
True.
It's for many. It's an opportunity to become older.
Well,
there you go. There's a question for our listening audience. 415-663-8492. What do you look forward to in the rest of your life, whatever age you are? Like Esau is looking forward to being 12 and
Ponies.
Ponies. And I don't know. What am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to a nice, healthy, not necessarily too long a life. Another question there. What is too long a life? How long do you want to live?
Well, health probably is one of the key things we can all hope for in our declining years.
I don't know. I mean, it's to me, it's the culture doesn't value wisdom. It's culture so called. It's terrified of death. So it doesn't praise wisdom. It doesn't praise and care for the elderly. It tends to segregate them, get them away, someplace else.
I'd have to question that. I know so many people my age who are faced with caring for a parent. and it's a responsibility.
Choosing which home they're going to house them in. Yeah.
It's a responsibility that comes with having older parents.
Sure.
I mean, this is.
I can't wait to commit my mother.
You don't shirk this responsibility.
Oh no! She's going straight to the. I want power of attorney. I'm going to send her to a home. She made me walk to Tamales Point and back. It's about 10 miles round trip.
Well, that'll do it.
Can't wait till she's in a wheelchair. That was a.
Okay, Cola, you're on the air. What's your name, please? Hello.
Hi.
Who is this?
It's MK in Seattle.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
I just had the pleasure of speaking with my charming granddaughter, who is indeed 12 today.
Fabulous. Well, that was lovely. It was an opportunity to sing the fabulous aging song.
Your harmonies were gorgeous.
Weren't they, though? I think we're just fabulous here. So how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I thought that 40 was good, 50 was better, 60 was great, 70 was daunting.
I think 17 is a weird year.
Now I'm in the middle of that, and so I'm looking forward to rearranging my priorities and being as productive as I can be.
What qualified your 70s as daunting?
I don't know. There was just something about it because I look forward to the other decades so much. And then all of a sudden, that was happening. It was like, yikes, this is serious.
I feel the same way.
Was there anything like physical changes that you were, that made it, or is it the number itself has a kind of?
Oh, I think it was the number.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because I didn't know at that point that I had this stupid sickness that I had, and so I was just sort of losing mobility in a lot of ways, and I didn't know why. And also, there's something about when you're 60, you've got like 20 more. 25 more if you play your cards right, and then 70 though. I don't know. There's something about it. I've gotten over it, but it was surprisingly daunting.
Yeah, at a certain time you reach an age where more people that you know are dying. It's like all of a sudden, if you've got somebody that watches over the obituaries from high school, for example, you keep getting those little messages and say, "Wow, so young." But
it's my own generation in our family that's getting depleted. That's the surprising one. You think, we're always going to be 25.
I think for me, 70 was a countdown to 80, which is
countdown to 80 today on KWMR.
Well, there's a significant difference between 70 and 80, I think.
Yes, I'm sure there is.
Yeah, no, I've observed it. I've lived in West Marin for 8 years, the world's largest open-air retirement home. And, you see people aging, there is a big difference between 75 and even 75 and 80, there's a big difference.
There's a difference between 70 and 73.
Yeah, But what do the younger generation, do they respect their parents? This is what we really want to know.
I don't know. I don't know if respect is the right word. I guess it's sort of built in, but I think its definition is changing.
Well, these whippersnappers, Amanda, for instance. And Herb Cutchins has decided to come in. Oh. No, he didn't. No, he's lost. But my thing is, there are a lot of older men and a lot of older women in West Marin who are these amazing repositories of wisdom and experience and knowledge, and I think that we pay a lot of lip service to engaging with our elders, and I don't see a lot of it actually happening, and I think it's a shame.
Because you're not everywhere.
Well, it is a shame. It is a shame because civilizations that don't honor their children and their elders don't do well historically.
Oh, well.
In the long term.
Well, yeah, there's an irony about it, too, which is, as I say, the boomers are such a big generation and such a rich generation that they've really enslaved their children, too, to serving them in different ways. Like you say, they're going to suck up all this money for health care, Stephen?
That's the projection. Alzheimer's supposed to take
Stephen,
huge amounts.
70?
Pardon me?
Are you over 70?
Yes, I am. I'll be 72 in a number of months.
Oh dear.
Okay.
Wow.
So you know. How did it affect you turning 70?
It affected me. I'm like you. None of the other changes affected me at all. I was looked at 40. 40's not so bad, and then 50. This is cool. But hitting 70, I think it was the proximity to 80. To be honest with you, because there's a real qualitative difference between 70 and 80. just mobility. My mother lived to be 100, and she had all her marbles to the last day. And very, very interesting memory of her last moments. My mother lied about her age her entire life. And I don't know why she wasn't proud of 100, but she was. Well, she had this ulcer, and so we called 911, and all these guys, huge. I don't know how they find firemen that big, but these huge guys, I said, be really careful with them. She's almost 100 years old. So they walk into the room, and I guess they want to know whether, so he says, how old are you? And she says, 80.
Bless her heart.
And she was very good at math, so he said, well, what day were you born? What year were you born? Well, that really caught her off guard. But you could see the wheels turning. Wheels were turning okay, if I'm,
Well, it sounds like it's just the cognizance of or your anticipation is what's troubling you about being 70. It's
like
not like anything changed. Yeah, I mean, you're looking ahead to what you think your 80s are going to be like.
That's right.
Rather than just experiencing the 70s as they come.
You're right.
Yeah. Which would be so much nicer.
Well, I don't think about it every day. I just don't wake up.
I don't think about it at all anymore.
I might have told this story before, but my grandmother didn't retire from her job until she was 80 and started a performance career at age 80.
Good for her.
Great.
There you go.
Is this in North Beach? What are we talking about here?
Santa Cruz.
I see. Well.
Yeah, so, so I have that kind of inspiration in my life, and I'm always looking for ways to keep adding awesomeness to my life.
Absolutely.
Keep expanding who I am. And
I totally agree.
Yeah. But, one thing I have noticed is that I think for me, some of the disappointments that have come with getting older is I don't necessarily feel, like inside I'm still that same person I was when I was younger and engaging in some of the...
Let's leave them.
And,
go ahead.
And so I miss being able to connect with people who are younger than me in the same way I used to.
Why is that? Why can't you connect with them?
I'm thinking that people look at me and they see my age. And so I get put into a category.
Well, my aunt...
That's really true. Ageism is astonishing. When I lived in Hawaii, I was working on a farm, and I was in my mid-60s. And I was working with people who were like 18 and 25 and really, really young people. And we were totally on the same page. It was so interesting. And then when I came back to the mainland, I was faced with these people. I said, they wanted to go take a class. I said, God, that sounds really exciting. What if I take it with you? And they looked at me like I'd grown another head. like you old batty woman, go away.
What are you thinking?
Is it worse for women than for men? I mean, if a man were to say that, would it be the same reaction?
That's interesting. I've never been a man, so I...
There's still time.
Well, we were talking about that, actually. As men age and women age, they become closer together in the testosterone levels, so...
Yeah, you're sort of unsexed by time, and that's well. I don't think. I mean, is that? Would you like to have the hormones of a 20-year-old? I mean, I'm not. Looking
actually.
Well, I guess I'm not fair.
Well, you remember the beloved Donna Sheehan? She had her sexual reawakening in her 60s.
Was that around the time that you met Paul?
Yeah, but it was, and it was because she was looking.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, so I mean, that's another thing, which is that you wouldn't. I mean, being 20 is also about how crazy.
Yep.
Oh, what's going on, MK?
Okay, well, we're making meringues for my
birthday meringues.
She loves meringues. They're light purple. They're very beautiful.
Fabulous.
They look like little piles of unicorn poop.
Well, there you go.
She said that word on the air.
Poop. You can say poop.
Rainbow.
You mentioned
unicorn.
something that is so true. This repository of experience.
Yep.
Just recently, there was a meeting regarding resistance to all the changes that were happening. And if you looked around, you'd say, well, they're all people who are older and had experience probably from the 70s, 80s. It's like there's a tremendous amount of know-how in this group.
Yeah, exactly.
There is.
People who remember the last time there were witch hunts and corporate,
I think, is
Vietnam War.
The other thing
Vietnam War.
is for young people not to be afraid of the bad news. For me, the bad news is the good news. So the people I know, say in West Marin, who were involved with the Farallons Institute and were involved with all these ways of trying to develop the local economy and things like that, they suffered endless disappointments through the 70s and the 80s. Then Reagan happened, which was a crushing blow, followed on by neoliberal creep Bill Clinton, and they were really crushed by it. The way how right wing American culture became over the course of their life. But those ideas are still good ideas, and that they had. I often say that they should relaunch Sim van der Rijn's Marin Solar Village for the San Geronimo Golf Course, and go away. Not everything was great about the ideas of the past, but the reason that they didn't happen isn't because they were good ideas or bad ideas. The reason they didn't happen is because of how right-wing American politics became just across the spectrum.
Having a memory of that is an important thing, right?
It is, but it is a memory about disappointment. It is a memory about people who were frustrated in what they were trying to do, but not to be afraid of that. To go back and.
But they haven't stopped, really, right?
Some people
not as active. But.
We have a caller.
We do have another caller. MK,
Get off.
thank you so much. Happy birthday.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Bye. Hello, caller. You're on the air. What's your name, please?
This is Sally, and I want a meringue.
Please mail your meringues.
To go to Seattle.
That's right.
LMK. Get back on the horn. Hello. Interesting show.
So you're ageless. How are you looking forward to your 60s?
In 20 years' time.
Trepidation.
Trepidation.
So I noticed a lot. Okay, so of course, like everyone else, I still think I'm 12, and I want to jump on my bike and ride to the beach and do handsprings. I mean, it's to me been an eternal disappointment that I can't just go and do handsprings anymore. And I pride myself on having the ability to do certain things like that, certain dance moves or certain what you would now have in yoga, which were things that one learns in gymnastics, back bends. And to a degree, I can do certain things, but I don't know. For some reason, I have my attachment in terms of aging is to that kind to hanging on as much as I can to that kind of physical, muscular,
your ability to move,
integrity.
Yeah.
Well, because it feels good to be able to do it, right? And
Well, yes, and also one seems or feels further from falling and breaking a hip.
Oh dear.
No, but well,
it's the vitality that you feel and the way it makes you feel. You like to hang on to that. As you know, I have I work with my body, I work physically, and I have terrible joints these days. My shoulders and thumbs and my elbows at one point, which have gotten better. It's that kind of thing that is troubling to me about aging. Other than that,
well, also
I still feel young.
But we don't live in like a multi-generational world. Everybody kind of segregates and, by age. I think it happens a lot. And then, in previous times, 200 years ago, whatever sort of previous time we would pick, there were young people and old people and everybody in between living together and providing what the others couldn't, right? And so I think it's unfortunate that, lots of people have to go into care homes and things like that, which could have been helped if their grandkids would move in and, help out and things like that, which I think would be better than having to go.
Well, that is happening. I mean, it's certainly happening here.
Don't get too nostalgic. This was a time of tremendous control as well.
I'm not saying go back.
Generational living together, cohabitating.
Right.
I mean, the elderly wanted their grandchildren, their children be just like them.
Exactly.
I wouldn't say it's heaven on earth, but I think there are things about other older ways of interacting that we could. I think we'll try and recreate them, and maybe they'll be better this time.
Well, that is changing, or people are talking about it, hopefully changing, simply for the practical reason that the baby boomers are such a ginormous population and they're aging out. And so there is a woman who wrote a whole book about this, and of course I can't recall her name, but I heard her speak, and it was a very interesting, eye-opening lecture talking about alternatives to, putting older folks into these homes. And I said to my son a couple of years ago, I just turned to him and said, don't put me away. Don't do it.
And he said, yes, mother.
Idea now. Because, people, also young people have such a different sense of time. And it is that classic hackneyed old metaphor. The older you get, the more it's like the rings are closer on the on the spinning LP. Yeah, I mean, it really is like that.
Well, then there is a place for care, though, right? Professional care. If my mother, for example, had gone into a 24-hour care facility with my dad living alongside, which is a wonderful thing, who knows? She might have lived, although... Why? She was in such terrible shape.
It's assisted living. It's
assisted living, right.
Yeah, this isn't, somebody isn't just stuffed in a bed in the corner.
Like they used to. You've been in these places?
I have, in fact.
There are some of those.
Gail, yeah, maybe so. But Gail's mother is in assisted living. Yeah. To keep her at home on her own is like a $5,000, $6,000 a month,
and still relying on other people to care for, other professionals to care for.
But we have
less professionals actually. You just have one or two people, whether they're as trained, whether they can care for the person as well is a question.
But the homes like Stockstill House is, I think, around $4,500 a month, and that's the cheap one, right? You go up from there, not down in terms of full-time care.
It's a wonderful facility.
Yeah, it's really economically there are economic disparities, and the more affluent you are, the more choices you have. My former mother-in-law has round-the-clock care in her condo, and so she has the financial ability, capability to have that kind of support. And
staying at home.
Children come and stay and help and rotate. They rotate visiting her, but she really relies on this team.
Sure.
Yeah.
We actually have another caller. I'm going to put the other caller on the air. Hello, other caller. What's your name, please?
Other caller's name's Corinne.
Corinne.
So I've been listening to you chatting away here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess what you consider an older lady, but it's really hard. I have to kind of remind myself of that because I don't feel it. I think Miss Sally said earlier, like she feels like she's really young inside. Yeah. And I don't know what age I am. I have no idea.
I can tell you. Sorry, Corinne, just kidding.
I mean, I look at myself and says, Jesus Christ, is that me? I don't feel it.
Sorry, Corinne.
Sally hung up. Carry on. Oh.
Wrong one.
Wrong.
Really?
Oops.
Corinne, please call back.
Sorry, Corinne.
So sorry.
That was
just
me.
To say there, she's in the water every day. She's swimming. The water's cold.
Well, you got to stay physical to keep your physical body,
Bob Evans,
for you.
And if Joan Carlson wants to call in and correct me, she can. I was told Bob Evans, who died at 102, 3?
102.
He born in 1914. He swam without a wetsuit in the bay every day and smoked a pipe till he was 96.
Wow.
After 96, he slowed down.
All right.
Yeah.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Hi. Is that Corinne?
Yeah, I'm back again.
Hi, Corinne.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was my fault.
Yeah. So, but anyhow, I just I remember when the mom that raised me, when she turned 85, I asked her, "How old do you feel?" And she said, "I feel like I never grew up." At 85, and I had to remind her, well, you were married a couple of times, you had a couple of kids, and so forth and so forth. But I think it's, was it Steve? You're the one that said about turning 70. I mean, yes. I'm well on my way to the next big round one, and it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it'd be a great party, though.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, think about that.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely going to have a party, but it's just really hard because I don't feel... The only thing that I would say that I feel is that I still have a lot of energy, but I do get tired in the afternoon.
Sure.
I get tired.
But do you actually dread becoming 80 like Stephen seems to?
No. No, I don't. I don't really. No, I don't really, because to me, it's just... I don't feel it. So, like, I don't... Yeah. When I think back on my grandparents when they were, when they were that age, they seemed like they were old. You know, when the grandparents I grew up with, when they had their 50th wedding anniversary, I remember I thought they were really old.
Well, they were, of course.
No, but because they looked old.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I think it's age is really just... It's just numbers. In many ways, it doesn't really mean anything.
Right.
It is however you feel inside and what you do. And
it's perception.
My closest girlfriends, they're like 25, 27 and 27 years younger than me.
Wow.
Those are my dearest friends.
Yeah, if you're not suffering from a horrific disease of some kind that lays you down, then it really is perception, isn't it?
And you're presuming that people who are young, age-wise, feel young. In fact, not always. I mean, you could be like Charles. You could feel like an ancient.
Yeah, about 95.
Is that what they euphemistically call? He's an old soul. No, he's just
old soul rhymes with another word I don't think we can say. But no, I mean, I don't know. I mean, 35. I remember, living in West Marin, I'm like in the best shape of my life, and I look great because everybody's 40 years older than you. But I remember really being concerned about those kinds of numbers when I was a teenager or my early 20s. Can you imagine me 27? How old that would be? And 30? Oh my God, you're 30. But that kind of fell away. I didn't, and very, very pleasantly. But if you obsess over it, then it stays with you.
Roger Daltrey is still singing "My Generation."
He really, and Mick Jagger, the image you use. He just had a child.
Corinne, hang on a moment. I'm just going to do some messages here. This is KWMR 90.5 and 89.9 and 92.3 all around West Marin and online at kwmr.org. We are supported by our listener members and by Marin Symphony, providing live classical music programs performed by a professional orchestra at the Marin Center every fall through spring. Information about subscriptions and single tickets available by calling the administrative office Monday through Friday at 415-479-8100 or by visiting marinsymphony.org. And a big thanks to everyone who pitched in during KWMR's recent Spring Pledge Drive by donating and by volunteering. With your support, KWMR was able to meet our $40,000 pledge drive goal in just 10 days. If you missed the drive and would still like to contribute, you can donate online at kwmr.org every day. Thanks again to our supportive community for making Spring Pledge a success. There you are, and this is Let's Talk Call-In Radio. We want to hear from listeners about how they feel about the aging process, and it's Paul, Stephen, Shelley, and Charles, and Corinne is on the line.
So I will continue. So one thing I would say, as you were talking, I was thinking, like, what is good about being older? What's good is that on many levels, I don't care what people say or do. I don't have. If you don't like me, too bad. It's your loss.
Yeah, that's such a great thing.
That is great.
I wear white socks now when I.
Yeah, and I mean, I try to look halfway decent, but it's there is a comfortable feeling about being older, because you can kind of be much more open in your feelings and thoughts.
My aunt told me she loves 65 because she could just order people around. You know, at the airport, young man, pick those bags up and take them over there. So she saw a positive side of just being able to boss people around more. People should embrace that.
Well, it's not so much bossing out. It's more about not caring what people think about me. Like, what you think of me is none of my business, basically.
Right. Well, I mean, but also we have a totally, and this has been said many, many times, a totally youth-obsessed culture, right? I mean, this is, it's everything is focused. I mean, the models in the magazines are 13-year-olds, and, I mean, it's kind of crazy. And it sort of robs us of our dignity, I think.
Yeah. Anyhow, so I think I'm very happy with my age. I looking back, was a particular age that I would like to go back to. Not particular, I'm pretty satisfied with the various stages of my life.
Yeah,
that is wonderful.
So, okay, anyhow.
Thank you, Corinne.
Thank you, Corinne. Wonderful.
663-8492. I was
very well
to
done.
Slow it down, yes.
Well,
please call us.
So I brought my dad out here to live with me because he had short-term memory loss and dementia and couldn't keep track of anything. And so he needed someone to help him. And originally was planning to have him at Stockstill House. And I took care of everything I had to do to get him admitted, and they did. And so we started making visits there to sort of warm up to the idea of, being there. And prior to that, when we first checked the place out, he didn't seem to notice that it was a care facility. That didn't seem to register. He didn't seem to notice people in a uniform. He thought he had been there before. He loved the place. He was happy. And so his friend and I looked at each other and said, well, I guess he is ready, And so we went forward. And then in the process of bringing him there, probably the second time, he leaned towards my face, looked me in the eye, and said, "You're trying to put me away."
Oh, geez. Wow.
So that made it really hard to do. And also just the fact that my father, even though he couldn't keep track of the day or the time or the year, he still had so much to offer. He wanted to connect and communicate with people. And the other people that were at Stockstill House, he wouldn't have been able to really talk to. He would have only been able to connect with the staff. And I just, in my imagination, I pictured him at that place just going into a depression, going downhill, and, leaving this world probably a lot sooner than he did. And I kept him home, and there he stayed till he died.
Yeah, I think that's great, and I think hopefully people are going to do more of that, not less of it. I mean, we are still totally colonists, right? You're supposed to leave home. You're supposed to go to whatever's a little bit further west. And I feel very badly for mothers in that situation. My own mother is an example of that, where she has grandchildren in Africa, children on the West Coast, children on the East Coast, all over. And so we don't stay close to each other, and we think it's normal not to stay close to each other.
Right, the family tribe is divided.
But I wish people would do more of sort of deliberately planning their life about being close to the people that they claim that they are most dear to them. And we don't plan our lives that way, and I wish we did. And it's especially important when you have children. It's important when there are new people coming in, and it's important when people are going the other way as well. It
is hard, though. My mother also developed a need to have an eye kept on her.
Was she a thief? What's going on here?
And the thing is that I don't think I could have done the same thing with my mother that I did with my father.
Huh. Is it just a difference between your relationship?
Right.
Well, mothers and daughters, and they sometimes have difficult relationships.
Yeah.
Tell us from experience.
So I did really interesting things. I stopped by her house in the morning, and I'd write her a note, and at the top it would have the date, and the time I was there. and what I was doing that day and anything she had happening that day.
And a brief recrimination from your childhood.
And then I would leave her morning pills, and then I would hide her evening pills somewhere in the house.
So she wouldn't take them all.
Yes, because that's what would happen.
Yeah.
She couldn't keep track of the time.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, so to save me a trip, and this was a suggestion a friend of mine made, was to hide the pills so that I could call her on the phone and say, okay, your pills are in the right-hand drawer or whatever. And so we did that for a while, and until she ended up in the hospital. But that's how I took care of my mom. I was able, and I lived close enough that I could do that.
Yeah. So this is, this is a huge part of your life. I mean, I don't know how many years it's been doing this.
Right.
For your mother and then for your father. So a huge undertaking.
Yes. And so I'm in a huge transition right now.
Right.
Yeah. Because I've been caregiving for probably at least 15 years.
Oh,
well, but I think there's like an art to it. I mean, there's also a discipline to it, and there's also the trauma that comes with it. But I think there's something really beautiful, not just about caring for young children, which is sort of everybody still has that focus, but also about I like being around people who are older than me, and I've learned not to fear. I think the infirmity in a sense because of that, and to sort of whatever be part of that kind of amazing process. Two of my favorite people were women in their 90s that I met, and they were great, and they were very they were both artists, but they were very different women, and one of them is still with us. I just sent out an email last night encouraging some local women to go and visit this 95-year-old Mary Fuller McChesney at a care home in Petaluma, and get some of that fabulous wisdom from them. I know, I mean, it's very, very difficult, but I don't fear caring for my mother when she's in her 70s now, when she's going to live forever. Jesus, when she's in her 90s, I in some sense I look forward to it, and I think that people really are afraid to engage in the way that you are, and if they can put somebody in a home and pay them, they are much more comfortable with that than reconnecting with them. And the economy doesn't let you do it, right? Because people have to work all the time.
Exactly.
I mean, you were a full-time carer, Paul, but you were able to have some control over your time,
and that was thanks to not just the generosity of a certain person, but also thanks to the state program and the Marin County program that paid me a little bit, just enough to keep things going, to pay part of the rent anyway, that I didn't have to actually go to work and could look after Donna all the time, basically.
Which is really great. And most people have to work. They don't even have the option.
Yeah.
In-home supportive services. It's a wonderful thing.
Where am I not getting a check? I mean, come on. That's just ridiculous. Marin County, if you're listening, you owe me.
Well, and just to be clear, I don't know if I could have done it if I was flying solo, if I was all by myself. I had my partner, Jose, and his son, Zach, who were in the home and able to help, so we could kind of tag team, Sometimes things would get frustrating when you're asked the same question repeatedly every few seconds sometimes. It can be hard to maintain the composure, and certainly hard to think your own thoughts.
Well, that not being alone thing, I think, is really important, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's sharing that experience with you. You're not just...
Right. And so, we can take turns stepping in or giving someone else a break to go out into the world. And so I was very well supported that way.
Yeah, but you did a great job, and you made their lives as good as they could be, no doubt, with your presence. But isn't that the dread that we all have, is that our minds start going, our brains go before our bodies go, and that we're stuck in a body that's still moving around, and yet things are just gone.
Really hard for my dad. He was an actor, and he was able to learn a lead role in 2 days.
Wow.
And so he was often a go-to if somebody had to drop out and they needed somebody at the last minute. He could step in.
I think it's really distressing. I mean, we have a couple.
I mourned for his memory loss early on because it's heartbreaking. He physically was okay. He could have continued to act and direct.
Right. Give us a call, 415-663-8492. We're talking about Aging, the process of aging, how we look forward to it or dread it, or
well, we had a couple of neighbors just in the last couple of years have be diagnosed with dementia, and it was really awful. I mean, in both cases, there were people whose mind really was their world, and then like a watchmaker whose vision starts to go, it was profoundly undermining to them not to have that mental acuity that they had relied upon their whole life.
And known for.
Yeah, and known for. I mean, both, very successful people, and it's difficult. Oh, I mean, on the other hand, like
dementia does not have to happen, though. I mean,
why not?
There
you think
are
they're faking
ways.
it?
There are ways. There's a book, unfortunately, Gail can't call in, but
what did you do to her?
No,
she's tied up.
She actually is making this the switch from bariatric medicine to exactly what we're talking about, and there is a book called The End of Alzheimer's. There are a number of protocols as to how a person can actually improve their cognizance from decline and from dementia. And, so I don't think that in the coming years, I think it will become more and more the case where people learn how to improve their mental capacity.
Okay.
That Alzheimer's does not have to be just something given and here it is, and I have to just accept that.
There'll be not a cure, but an amelioration of the effect.
Well, but I mean, I think the other thing was death is going to happen.
That brings up the point. What if they're talking about? We were saying that there are the high tech guys who want to live for 200 years old, and if we could keep bodies going. Would you like to, if we could keep your body going, for example, would you like to be 200, 300 years old? Would you like to live that long?
I tell my 83-year-old neighbor that we're all going to live to 150, so he'll be 150, I'll be 110, our neighbor's son will be in his 70s. And he, this friend is just, who is just horrified by that idea.
Yeah.
Nobody, not
I'm horrified.
Well, not looking forward to death, but also, that the experience of life changes your perception of time and what you want to do, and I don't know.
We have a caller. What's your name, please, caller? You're on the air, and keep it clean.
Hello there. This is Eleanor from Bolinas.
Eleanor.
Well, some of the notes that you've been playing, I wanted to add my 2 cents worth. I'm 79. And I have to say, it's the best time of my life. I love this age.
I'm changing my mind, by the way.
You're cheering Stephen up. Why is 79 so fabulous? Do tell.
Well, for one thing, you learn from your experience. And one of the things that helped me was I really love to dance. And I was willing to do what it takes in order to stay mobile. So I've taken a really good care of my body. And each time there's a health challenge, which there is along the way as we transform. And so I like to, for one thing, reframe it rather than getting old to it's a transformation. It's a transformation moving towards the final transformation. And I don't, so I see that as we get older and we're more challenged with health things, I have found for me it's been a teacher. Every time I get ill, I just pay a lot of attention and listen. And that way I find I discover a lot of things about being human, for one thing. And the other big thing is that the body is this friend. And we're given this body as a gift. And we have it, and it's our friend, and we can learn to listen to it and take care of it as we would a loved one, because you can go there with it, and it can be your teacher. So teaching seems to me to be a destination, and I want to just quote from Carl Jung's book, Memories, Dreams, and Reflections, where he says that what he thinks that happens as you move across to the other side from his experience, not saying this is true, but from his experience, it is that on the other side, they're all waiting for us, and they're waiting to find out what we've learned. Isn't that beautiful?
Nice.
So, true or not, it does inspire me. And so I want to tell one more story. And this is from my cousin, who's a nurse, a retired nurse. And she met with her retired nurse friends recently. And one of them told her a story that I find just really inspiring. And that is that this person said, this nurse said that she had a client who was a paraplegic and was in a wheelchair. She was a black woman. And she was so cheerful all the time that this woman said that when she would go and visit her, she could be sure that actually it would help her mood to improve. And so, anyway, at one point she goes to see her, and this woman is lying in her bed, and she's facing the wall, and she doesn't disturb her. She goes away, and she thinks, oh, it must be it. Time has come. So the next day she goes, and there's the woman sitting in her wheelchair. This is a paraplegic. And she's very cheerful. And so this nurse asked her, well, what happened yesterday? And the woman said, well, I had a dream. And in the dream, all my loved ones came to meet me and welcome me to the other side. And she said, but I said to them, I'm not ready yet. And this is 100-year-old woman.
Wow.
100-year-old woman. She lived for 8 more years.
Wow.
Well, what do you think about, the story of Harold and Maude, the film that came out in the 70s, where Maude, she's living this adventurous life and, living to the fullest, and then turns 80, and that's, her birthday and her death day. What do you think about cutting your life short so that it's only been the best possible life? Does that make any sense?
That's an interesting thought. Well, I never thought of it, but I think it's fine to end your life if you feel it's your time. I mean, who's to say? And so one of the things I'm finding as I get older is to listen to my body. So my body is always telling me about itself. The pain is a communication about what's going on, and will lead me to take action to alleviate it. And so there's this conversation. If something in you says, I want to go now, I respect that.
We had actually I showed a friend of mine showed Paul and Sally actually a video of this last night. We have a neighbor whose mother's 89. She does not remember often, where she is or who she's with. But Sebastian brought all these Cuban records, and he put them on, and all of a sudden this woman is dancing and, danced me out of the room. I had to go and hide and read some Shakespeare and recenter my whiteness because she, her rhythm was amazing, and the dancing, that was still with her, and she and her son just were salsa dancing there together, listening to these records, and it was really amazing. But she still had so much kind of joy and happiness in her life, but memory, not so great.
Yeah.
We have another caller. Thank you, Eleanor. That was really lovely.
Very nice.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Eleanor.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. What's your name, please?
Hi. I'm Anonymous from Point Reyes. I just wanted to say thanks for the topic. It's a good one. And I just went to some workshops with my parents at the San Geronimo Community Center. They had them up at the gym with advanced directive stuff. And just a shout out to everybody because we're dealing with a family member who has some memory issues, and it's definitely harder to get that type of paperwork done.
Oh, yeah.
We want to make sure that person has a say, but it's to the point where it's pretty difficult to figure out what their say is and what they do want. So just a shout out to everyone to, maybe think about doing that before it feels like it's time, because you might save yourself a lot of time in the long run. Amend them too, which I've learned a lot in the last few weeks.
And accidents happen. Accidents happen anytime. It doesn't matter. Have to be aging. It's just if you don't want to be hooked up to a machine for as long as they feel like turning the little hamster in the wheel to power it. And
actually today at the community center, it's at Meeting Room 20 at Lagunitas School. They're actually having like a notary there. If anyone has that paperwork and wants to get it literally notarized, today 1:30 to 3:30 at Lagunitas School, they have like a closing session. So just a shout out to them.
Thanks for that info.
Thank you, Miss.
Is it senior lunch day?
There is senior lunch. People should go.
Senior lunch day.
Right.
You know,
She should go to senior lunch. I should go to senior lunch.
I just have a question. Is it considered more women's work to take care of the elderly than men's? It seems like women feel this responsibility.
Women are still surviving longer than men.
Oh, true enough.
Because they're killing us.
You're on the air. We just have a couple of minutes here. So what's your name, please?
Hey, Paul, this is Marcel.
Hey, Marcel.
Make it really short. You don't have much time. Callers today. A lot of people are aging out there.
Well, while we're young, Marcel, get it out.
No, I'm a young guy. Okay. Anyway, I just want to I'm teaching a class on, a discussion group in Ann Wheel's Healthy Aging, Ann Wheel, MD. And I just want to sum up what he says in his book because it's just very apropos. He says, eat an anti-inflammatory diet, use dietary supplements wisely to support the body's defenses and natural heating power, use preventative medicine intelligently, know your risk of age-related diseases, get appropriate diagnostic and screening tests, get regular physical activity throughout life, get adequate rest and sleep, learn and practice methods of stress protection, exercise your mind as well as your body, maintain social and intellectual connections as you go through life, be flexible in mind and body, learn to adapt to losses and let go of behaviors no longer appropriate for your age, think about and try to discover for yourself the benefits of aging, do not deny the reality of aging or put energy into trying to stop it, use experience of aging as a stimulus for spiritual awakening and growth, and last, keep an ongoing record of the lessons you learn, the wisdom you gain, and the values you hold. At critical times in your life, read this over and add to it, revise it, and share it with people you care about. And I personally keep a journal, and I write down what happened each day and what I've learned. So the last thing I want to say is it's very important. You have to have a purpose in life. Every day is a new day.
Absolutely right.
Every moment is a new moment, and you have to see the positive of everything.
Thank you, Marcel. Wonderful.
Good stuff.
Last words. Thank you. Yeah, everybody, West Marin Senior Services are available for your help. Stock still is here. And
Senior lunch on Thursday.
Senior lunch on Thursdays. And let's not forget there's actually a California Department of Aging. I did not know that. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
back
Paul.
Next week.